Strike hard, strike fast, no mercy. Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Everything Zen, where we discuss everything in the Zenescope universe, from Gretel and Paradise Court to Wonderland, Robin Hood, and so much more. This is Zenescope. I'm your host, Mark Sells, and we're so glad to have you along with us for our August edition of Everything Zen. Those dog days of summer are winding down, officially on August 11th. Kids everywhere are heading back to school, and most importantly, if you love football like I do, every weekend from now until Super Bowl Sunday in February, we'll have a college and/or pro football game televised. Even preseason is better than no season. On August 6th, 1762, the very first sandwich was made when Earl of Sandwich in England, from the House of Montague, asked for a meat dish with 2 pieces of bread. We've been eating sandwiches ever since, so it's no coincidence then that August is officially National Sandwich Month. Other noteworthy days in August: August 10th is National S'mores Day, the 12th is Vinyl Records Day. I'm not sure why, but August 20th is World Mosquito Day, celebrating those pesky little buggers. And August 25th is Kiss and Makeup Day. Great reminder to end those quarrels, arguments, and fights and move forward. MTV debuted on cable television on August 1st, 1980. Red Dawn, starring Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen, became the first PG-13 movie ever released on August 10th, 1984. The IBM PC was first released on August 12th, 1981, and the World Wide Web, created by Tim Berners-Lee, was made available to everyone on August 23rd, 1991. Rock music lost a living legend on August 16th, 1977, when Elvis Presley passed away, and on August 28th, 1963, at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave one of the most iconic speeches in the history of the United States, calling for an end to racial discrimination and asking for equal rights to all. Famous August birthdays include Kevin Smith, Martha Stewart, Barack Obama, Sean Connery, Alfred Hitchcock, Steve Martin, Whitney Houston, and of course, our Red Dawn star, Patrick Swayze, whose birthday falls on August 18th. And don't forget to look up this month. August is the month of the Perseid meteor shower, one of the most prolific showers and one of the best times to catch a falling star. The shower runs through August 22nd. Coming up on this month's podcast, we're going to the dark side and featuring the Dark Princess. Amber will take us back to school via grim tales of terror. Noah's got some Dark Princess prizes to share with you in a little bit. We'll be joined by Zenescope Publisher and our Dark Princess professor, Dave Francini. Later on, we'll be joined by Jacob Bertrand, one of the amazing young stars from Cobra Kai, arguably one of the best shows on Netflix right now. Talk about a fun interview, so stick around for that. And remember, pain does not exist in this dojo. We're sweeping the leg and going a little dark this month. The August edition of Everything Zen strikes back right now. If you've been listening to our podcast, you know that there is a huge difference between the fairy tales and princesses, as they were originally conceived by the Brothers Grimm and other authors, and the fairy tales depicted by Disney. The reality is, princesses don't often come from magical lands far, far away and live happily ever after. Rather, they come from real-life events and adult imagination, tales so shocking and violent they would not make for great bedtime reading. Thus, growing up means taking off the rose-colored glasses and experiencing the cruelty of the real world. Murder, torture, hanging, burning feet, just a few of the things Disney cuts out when rewriting century-old fairy tales for the screen. Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Rapunzel, and more were the real dark princesses in fairy tale lore with tragic, horrific origins. Everyone's favorite aquatic princess, Ariel, from The Little Mermaid, she gives up her tail for legs for her love and gets to experience the sensation of sharp knives cutting through her legs every time she walks. So when her love breaks her heart by marrying another, she transforms into sea foam and dissipates. The end. Every version of Mulan starts with her cosplaying as a soldier to take her father's place at war, but in the original 1965 novel, Mulan comes home from the war to find her father deceased and her mother remarried. And when her female identity is discovered and the Khan forces Mulan to be his concubine, she slits her own throat by her father's grave, declaring that she will be loyal to no man. The Princess and the Frog? The curse wasn't broken by a kiss. It was broken by the princess killing the frog by throwing it up against a wall. And you want dark? After numerous murder attempts, Snow White holds the evil queen captive and then forces her to dance herself to death in red-hot iron slippers at her wedding while everyone watches in amusement. That's pretty dark and twisted. In the Zenescope world, the Dark Princess made her first appearance in Grimm Fairy Tales, Myths and Legends, The Dark Princess, in March of 2021. Her character emerges here after centuries of evil forces have failed to take control of the realms of power and rule the Nexus. She is the most deadly of all that came before her, from the Dark One and his horde to the Order of Tarot, Merlin, and his evil knights. The Dark Princess begins the Fractured Universe saga within Grimm Fairy Tales, starting with Volume 2, Issue number 51, and running through the present. Later this month, in the 2022 Grimm Fairy Tales Annual, the Dark Princess's plans to rule the universe are coming to fruition as worlds start falling one by one, and only Sky and a handful of desperate heroes can stave off the Dark Princess's plans for utter annihilation and a massive climactic conclusion to the entire Fractured Universe storyline. To discuss the Dark Princess and her dastardly plans, we'll be joined by Zenescope Publisher and Dark Princess Authority, Dave Francini. But before we bring Dave into the fold, let's take a quick look at the prizes you could win if you enter our August Podcast Word of the Month contest.
Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on to your headphones, turn up your speakers, and bring those ears a little closer, because it's time for Zenescope's ever-exciting, always engaging
Word of the Month contest.
Anybody can enter and anyone can win. All you have to do is listen for this sound. When you hear it, we'll reveal this month's secret word or phrase. Email us at info@zenescope.com with that secret word or phrase, and you'll automatically be entered into our raffle. A number of lucky fans will then be randomly selected to receive a series of incredible prizes. This month, we're turning our attention to the character that readers voted Best New Villain of 2021, the cunning, the sinister,
Dark Princess.
Our first place prize is a rare, diamond-exclusive cover of Grimm Fairy Tales number 44, which features artwork by Mike Crome and depicts the villainess herself. The first place winner will also get a special comic bundle that includes the origin story of our Dark Princess, plus the book that kickstarts her evil conquest, Grimm Fairy Tales number 51. But hang tight, because 2 second-place winners will also have the chance to receive that same dual-book bundle, with a handful of runner-ups also getting discount codes that can be used to purchase graphic novels, art prints, or more, all located conveniently on our web store. Don't forget to send your entry to info@zenescope.com for your chance to win. But remember, only one submission per person. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks, Noah. We're inside the Creator Corner, and there's a bit of a chill in the air as we bring back Zenescope Publisher and historian Dave Francini. We've got the goosebumps as Dave joins us now to talk about the Dark Princess, her inception, motivation, and that wicked gem of power. We'll also talk about multiverses, the fractured universe, his favorite princesses, Upcoming Grimm annual featuring, yep, you guessed it, the Dark Princess. Here we are for the August edition of Everything Zen, and we're joined once more by Zenescope's Prince of Publishing, Dave Francini. Dave, great to have you back to back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm the Prince of Publishing now, but I mean, yeah, like it's always cool to come back and talk about the books. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're here to talk about the Dark Princess, and the seeds for the Dark Princess saga were planted early in Van Helsing number 50, going back to January 2021, where vampires overrun her dimension. She would then appear in March in the dedicated Myths and Legends Quarterly, and then pop back up in September in Grimm Fairy Tales Volume 2, number 51. We'll be coming back in the Grimm Annual later this month. You've talked about the Zenescope writing retreats, planning the year ahead. Talk to me about the creation of the Dark Princess, who and what inspired her, and what makes her character unique.
Well, so like with this one, we didn't actually develop it completely in the writer's retreat when we did it. It was Joe actually came up with the character, and he introduced her into that he kind of introduced her in that Myths and Legends Quarterly. But yeah, it did. It spun out of the Van Helsing 50 issue, where this gem basically opened up the gateways and the portals from our world and the vampire world, but it also opened up a ton of different worlds. So like, yeah, I mean, yeah, Joe kind of like took that and he kind of built off of that Van Helsing story, and then we've kind of seeded her in throughout the rest of the universe. So you've seen her in like Robin Hood Annual, The Swarm. We got introduced to a lot of her different villains. We brought it in with like Lord of Flies versus the Black Knight. And we've been kind of building it up throughout the past like year and a half. And then in 51, we really set it into motion of why she's here, what she's here for, and what she wants to do with this world. And it started off with an attack. And we're actually sending the print, one of the last issues of that arc, of that Dark Princess saga. But she's basically come here from a different world, a world where she used to rule the entire universe, and now she's decided that she wants to take over the Grimm universe.
How would you describe, or what could you tell those just joining and hearing about the Dark Princess for the first time? How would you describe her, and what is the fractured universe?
Well, she's basically a person who's had unlimited control, unattested power, and she lost that. And she's come to our world with an ability to get it back, because her world was overrun by vampires. Basically, her world was destroyed to the point where she wouldn't be able to rule anything there anyway. So she came here, and what she's doing and the power she seeks is something that we didn't know existed in the Grimm universe. Basically our characters never knew that this power to go through different universes existed, and she's found it. Because each universe has basically this gem, like we've been calling it in-house, kind of like this heart gem, like this gem that basically is the heart of each universe, each iteration of the Grimm universe out there. And she taps into that, and that's what that fractured universe is. She taps into it a little bit unknowingly, because she knew it had power, but she didn't know the potential of the power. And it wound up sending our main character, Sky, who's our Snow White character, and our Queen of Hearts, like hopping through different universes. So it's kind of it fractured like the gateway between all the different universes. Mm-hmm. And that's what this arc has kind of become. It's there's a few different stories going on at once. It's the Dark Princess trying to solidify her rule with basically taking our main hero out of the picture. Our other characters trying to bring back Sky, and then Sky also trying to get back home, but having to make her way through all these different alternate worlds, meeting alternate versions of her friends and her family. Some are on her side, some aren't. Some acknowledge her existence. There's a lot of crazy different layers here. So for just the Dark Princess's side, you get really she wants to get back to where she was, and it's not just purely about power, but it's about she lost something. like granted it might have just been loss of control, but she lost what made her comfortable and what was her reality. And the same thing here, like Sky is lost in the different worlds, and she's trying to basically get back to her own reality. And then our other characters have lost, not only lost our world to the Dark Princess, they've also lost their only real hope to another world. So it's basically a story about a lot of loss and basically and trying to get back to the way things were.
Evil forces have tried to take over the realms of power for centuries and all failed. What makes her so certain that she won't fail like her predecessors? Is it the gem of power?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that, plus she's done it before. So like for her, it's almost like where some people would need to create a map as they go along their journey. She already has the map laid out for her. She knows exactly where she needs to strike. She knows exactly what she needs to do to take over each realm and each world, and she's doing that. So like it's almost like she's lived this story out, and so she has that advantage over our heroes. Plus you add in that gem, and that basically makes her, it's one of the strongest universal powers in our Grimm universe.
In terms of the writing process, how is creating a new character or villain in a story different from a pre-existing one?
I mean, with this stuff, like, it's really cool with these because we get to bring in, like, we get to learn as the reader, like, not as the reader learns, but we get to learn about this character just like the reader would. This character didn't exist to us, so it's more like creating what she wants, and surprising ourselves with, like, oh my God, you know what? Maybe she does want this because this is what she lost. This is what she wants to get back. So it's kind of like figuring out what this character's motivation is. And when you do that, you kind of start letting the character kind of tell you what they're going to do. Like stuff that you didn't know in advance. You're like, okay, cool. Like I wasn't thinking like, oh, this character really needs to rebuild her home or really needs to get out there. But then on the other end of that, we get to take some of our other characters when we see the alternate universes. We get to take some of our characters that we've created before and given worlds before and twist them, because it's basically they're in a new world, a new setting, and maybe that world's timeline went a different way than ours. So you get to kind of recreate the same characters we've had before, but give them a different angle, give them a different motivation.
Do you enjoy these multi-layered storylines more than sort of more of a closed, like 3-part type of miniseries that just has a beginning, middle, and an end?
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing is all of our books kind of, they get to be multi-layered. Even if we do have a beginning, middle, and end, we just have, because the Grimm universe just keeps expanding, so you keep kind of planting seeds throughout. But like, I mean, that's probably the coolest thing about this stuff is that you basically can keep like putting little layers and layers and layers and layers on top of the story. And I think that's a lot more fun, especially when you have like these 12-issue arcs with Grimm. You get to breathe a little bit more, and you don't have to cram as much in there, and you kind of get to flesh out the characters a little bit more. You get to build up new characters that you wouldn't normally have a chance to, that you can either make a bigger part of the story. That's the hardest part sometimes when you do a one-shot or you do a 3-issue story or like just a shorter story, is you don't get enough time to really get into the character and let the fans like kind of like attach themselves to this character. So with these bigger arcs, you kind of get to flesh them out a little bit. You build on your main characters, but then you also get to build up these other characters that you can potentially spin out in other stories. But that's the really cool thing with the universe, is that like every character, their story normally doesn't end with the story that they're in. It just that story leaves it open to have more stories with those characters, which is really fun.
Yeah. At San Diego Comic-Con this year, Marvel introduced their Phase 5. As publisher, does Zenescope work behind the scenes in a similar fashion in terms of phases and multiverses?
We don't really do it by phases. I mean, that one's a little bit, it's crazy how they do it, but we do it more as like, we kind of book out the year. We kind of figure out where we want to go throughout the year. where each character so if it's Van Helsing, Robin, it's Belle, or if it's new characters that we're going to do stories for, we kind of map out what their projection is for the year, and then we kind of see how they cross over and map into the overall universe. I mean, for Grimm Fairy Tales this year, we know exactly where we're going. I guess I can spoil a little bit of it. We're going more into the Cthulhu mythos, into the Grimm Fairy Tale universe, and that's going to bleed out into all of our different characters and all of our different worlds, not as like one giant crossover, but more to show that like this universe is connected. So like that's what we're going to be working on coming up, and we've been working on recently, is just like mapping out how far we want to go with the Cthulhu mythos, how far does it reach into all the different stories, but then also how do these characters stay in their own kind of lane and deal with this, with everything that's happened on in the universe. So like we do kind of map that, like it's not really off by a phase of like, all right, we're gonna end off on Avengers, we're gonna end off on like a Realm Knight story. It's more we're gonna create this story throughout this year, and these are where we want the characters to go throughout the year and end at the end of the year.
Last time we talked about Sleeping Beauty. We're talking about the Dark Princess this month. In terms of princesses overall, who is your favorite of all time? Your favorite Zenescope princess and your favorite princess outside of Zenescope?
That's a tough one. I can't pick a favorite in Zenescope. Only because like I love them all. Like, and not to sound like I just it's hard to pick, because especially when you get
Dave's running for Zenescope office.
No, but I mean, it's even when you write it, it's like there's certain things, like even every character you get to write and every character you get to develop a story for, they have their own voice and they have their own out, like you get your own outlet from that. So like say like Cinderella is like a really crazy world, so like it lets you tap into the most insane things you can think of, where like Belle is more of like she's more in her own head. She's more action adventure mixed with mythology. So like each one, there's no real favorite, because every time you get to play with a different like a story, you kind of get like to scratch a different itch. So it's really hard to say like, this is my favorite one to write. I mean, sometimes the most fun stuff, or at least for me, is like writing Cinderella, only because you can kind of just say the craziest things that kind of make you laugh and hope that other people laugh. But I mean, I feel that way with everything from writing Grimm Fairy Tales or writing Belle. Like just getting to delve into their worlds is really fun. I mean, outside of this, I think I've always been probably like a Cinderella. Like I always love Cinderella, but not necessarily the Princess of Cinderella. I just love the cartoon. I love Gus, the little mouse, and all the cheese and all that stuff. So like, there's there's weird little things in there that I like. But I mean, I love. And the cool thing is, like, especially with Sleeping Beauty, like I never really delved so deep into that type of fairy tale, where I read like 5 or 6 different versions of it, and it showed how they were all kind of similar but all very different, and that's really cool. So like I think as we keep making new characters and expanding the world and doing a little more research, it kind of makes you like every new character a little bit more.
We've been building toward a climax as the Dark Princess plans to rule the universe and only has Sky and a handful of heroes in her way. What can you tell us about the upcoming Grimm Fairy Tales annual releasing later this month?
It looks amazing. I mean, and we also it's a very big book. It's 64 pages. And it actually tries to touch on a little bit of everything that was introduced throughout, from like when Van Helsing 50 was introduced to now. I mean, the whole Fractured Universe kind of touches on that throughout, like everything that was introduced in Van Helsing 50. This kind of not ends it, but wraps up a lot of loose threads and a lot of storylines. Like you'll see a lot of characters you have that were introduced, like the Dragon Clan, the Jabberwocky's daughter, the Swarm. So you're going to see a lot of different characters that might not have gotten as much spotlight as we had throughout the year, but have gotten one shot like quarterlies. Kind of like their stories kind of coming full circle here.
Will it have a fairy tale ending and finally give readers some closure, or is it going to do the classic Zenescope cliffhanger?
Nope, this is the last issue ever. No, I mean, yeah, it's gonna have it'll have an ending. It'll have a happy ending for some. Does that mean it's a happy ending for the good characters? It doesn't mean that. But I mean, there's definitely closure for some characters. There's a lot of seeds left open for things to come. Like we start kind of hinting at what's coming up in future parts of the universe here, and things that you're going to see like planned and built onto in the 2023 and beyond. But yeah, I mean, you get a definitive ending to this fractured universe, Dark Princess saga.
Well, we can't let you go without asking if the Dark Princess will emerge in Zenescope's next phase for 2023.
I can't tell you. You'll have to read. I can't spoil the story. It's coming out soon, so you'll see.
Franchini for president 2023. There you have it. Dave, thanks again for dropping by to give us the scoop on the Dark Princess. We know you're swirling in deadlines and really appreciate you carving out some time.
No, thanks for having me. Yeah, anytime. I love talking about comic books, so anything that gets me talking about them, I'm down.
If you'd like to learn more about the Dark Princess, stop by Zenescope.com, and midway down the homepage, you'll see a section entitled Dark Princess 101. We've got Van Helsing number 50, Myths and Legends Quarterly, and the Fractured Universe Saga in Grimm Fairy Tales, all for your reading pleasure, before the Grimm Annual drops later this month.
April showers bring May flowers, June heat brings barbecue July eat, and August brings the thing every kid fears to hear because it's so cruel. It's time for back to school. And speaking of back to school, our Grimm Tales of Terror Quarterly Back to School 72-page issue includes really special stories as they are all from aspiring writers. Back in July 2021, Zenescope hosted a panel at New York Comic Con where unpublished authors could pitch us their scariest stories to include in a future Grimm Tales of Terror. We were only looking to pick one winner. However, many blew us away, and so we included all of the winners in that month's issue. It was hosted by myself, with the judges including our editor-in-chief David Wall, TV personality and movie club star Crystal Starr, and co-founder Ralph Tedesco. 20 attendees pitched us in person, and a handful were chosen. They all became authors, with our winner Franco Giacoamara being the head winner. Additional authors included Dan Bookbinder, R. Horror Vincent, and Max Robinson. As Casey and I joked, our back to school issue came out just a few weeks ago, so we like to call it the back to summer school issue, but included covers by Al Baranuvo, Ivan Nunez, Igor Vitorino, Vincius Andrade, and Pierre Luigi Abendaza. The synopsis reads, in these hallowed halls of learning, a new guidance counselor has arrived with a very unique view of right and wrong. Her name is Caries, otherwise known as the goddess of death, and it's best to heed her teachings as your very life may depend on it. Follow 4 new tales of terror as both students and teachers alike will be finding out firsthand that the lessons learned can sometimes be fatal. Don't miss this terrifying collection of stories set in the most terrifying place one can imagine, high school. In this new oversized issue, 72 pages. And as I mentioned before, besides the aspiring authors, we also had our own David Wall and Dave Francini write the final story. If you're looking for something truly terrifying that will have you cheering that you're no longer in high school, make sure that you check out this $8.99 release that has 3 incredible covers and, like I mentioned, 72 pages that will make you so glad you're not in high school anymore, but also just yearning for Halloween to come right around the corner. That was another edition of Amber's Attic. Thanks, everybody.
There's that sound. Our podcast Word of the Month is here. And for August, the word is the realm from where the gem of power came. Myst, spelled M-Y-S-T. The August podcast Word of the Month is Myst. Moving forward now, let's take a look at some of the exciting events coming up on the Zenescope calendar for August 2022. New releases happen every Wednesday with Zenescope, This month, Sleeping Beauty makes her first appearance in Grimm Universe Presents. Bunnyman and Jackalope Jack avoid Dogman assassins in the latest Man Goat and the Bunnyman, Green Eggs and Blam, issue number 2. Wonderland is featured in a new Myths and Legends, War of Madness. Sky is trying to put the pieces of her life back together in Grimm Fairy Tales Volume 2, number 63, and the Dark Princess emerges in the Grimm Fairy Tales Annual, releasing on August 24th. The new Metal Comic, Metal Cards, and Sticker Set have all been released for August and are available for subscription on Zenescope.com, along with the new 2022 Collectors Club editions for board game cosplay and catch 'em throughout the month. Elias Chadsudis' Steampunk Wonderland series returns for the 4th installment on Wonderland Wednesday, August 24th. Our August featured artist of the month is Paolo Pantalena. He has a sticker set and 6 new metal cards. You can get all 3 new art prints of his for just $40 this month, starting on August 8th. Christmas in July continues into August as select gift products are available, and upon purchase will include a free collectible trading card. Each card is a winner, with 1 gold card being a grand prize trip to San Diego Comic-Con 2023. So keep an eye on your email weekly, as well as Zenescope.com for more details. And lastly, this month we've got not 1, but 2 virtual live stream events. Our annual VIP VCon runs on August 17th and 18th with special exclusives only available to VIPs. There are prizes, games, guests, and more, all hosted by Ralph, Jason, Noah, and Casey. And they're doing a 1-day back-to-school VCon on August 23rd for everyone. So stop by Zenescope's Facebook page for the schedules and to RSVP. You all know our featured guest as Eli Hawk Moskowitz, kicking butt and taking names in the Netflix smash hit Cobra Kai. He's Jacob Bertrand, a California kid who grew up acting and making a name for himself in productions for Nickelodeon and Disney like Kirby Buckets, Marvin, and iCarly, as well as guest starring roles in series like Parks and Recreation, Community, and The Cape. He's also lent his voice to many memorable characters over the years on Paranorman, Rise of the Guardians, and The Legend of Korra. This month, I had an absolute blast getting to know this rising star as we dug deep into the making of Cobra Kai. That epic mohawk, the fight scenes in karate, and working with Ralph Macchio, William Zabka, and Martin Kove, and as much as he can share on the upcoming Season 5. Plus, things you may or may not know about Jacob, his family, his music, charity work, and aspirations. Let's check in with Jacob now and see what he had to say. Well, as we get ready to wax on, wax off, and brush up on our karate skills, we couldn't be more excited to be joined by the All-Valley champion, the star of Cobra Kai, Jacob Bertrand. Jacob, welcome to Everything Zen.
Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing? Oh, wow, that is a very aptly named thing for this, considering I'm on Miyagi-Do now.
Yes, keep it all Zen. Now, we know you're a cool California kid. You're surrounded by the glamour of Hollywood and the film business.
Yes.
And you started at such a young age. Did you know you wanted to be an actor, or is it something that all the kids in Southern California do for fun?
Well, I did always want to try acting. My older sister was actually the person that was sort of pushing my parents to, let her try acting. And, my family doesn't really have any ties to the industry in any way. So didn't really know how. So my mom just sent Christmas cards of me, my older sister, and my younger brother to a lot of agents that were in LA. And a couple got back to us. And then one was like, oh, we'll take on all 3 of your kids. So that's kind of how it started. And when I first started acting, I absolutely loved it because it was a great way to get out of school, because I just really did not like school. So it was like, hey, go to
like that.
Cut school for a couple hours. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is great. But then I really ended up falling in love with it and wanted to continue it, throughout high school and after high school.
So much has been written about child actors going wild and having issues later in their lives. How did you manage to stay grounded, and how critical has your family been in your career?
My family has been a huge part of my career. I think a huge reason for, I think having just me speaking for me personally, like having my head screwed on decently straight is just, I have really, really great parents. I'm really tight with my mom and my dad, and my mom would take me to set almost every day. And sometimes my grandmother, who I call my nanny would take me to set too. And, I went to a public school, so I was surrounded by, my same friends since kindergarten. And I think if I ever really got too big or like thought I was all that, I think they'd be like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're not hot shit.
Bring you down to reality.
100%. So I'm very grateful to, my family and the friends that I've gotten to keep around for a really long time. And I definitely think that's a huge reason of, maybe why I haven't, gone completely nuts.
Well, if I was a young actor, Cobra Kai would be my dream gig. You get to act. It seems like you're having a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. You get to punch people in the face and get paid for it. Yeah.
What was your audition process like for Cobra Kai? And did you audition for Eli/Hawk straight away, or were you auditioning for any character?
So when I first auditioned for Cobra Kai, I first auditioned for the Dimitri role, which was then called Tanzit. That was the name of the character back then. And I remember loving that character. I was like, this character is hilarious. This is so much fun. And most of the stuff that I've done like before Cobra Kai has all been comedy. I did very, very little drama. So I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is a great role. So I did the audition. I can't remember if I did a callback or not, but I remember it went really well. And they're like, oh, casting loved you. This is great. And then I got an email from my agent saying that, hey, they loved your read for Tanzit, but they want you to audition for a different role. And so usually what that means is like, you did great, but not good enough. Here's like a smaller role that we think you would be good in. And the role that I was going out for was Eli. And Eli was in the, audition sides for Tanzit. And he had like 2 lines and like didn't say anything, And I was like, oh man, like, gosh dang it. And I was like, you know what? Like, Cobra Kai is a pretty cool project. I'd be down to just be a part of it. And I was like, hey, I've never been to Atlanta before. It films in Atlanta. This is a cool opportunity. So I hear it's a producer session. So my first audition as Eli is a producer session. So I go in, and John Hurwitz, who's one of the big 3, one of the creators, is in the room. And I start reading the sides of, Eli, my, 1 to 2 lines. And they start looking around at each other like, oh, whoa, like this is, you have the wrong script. Like, this is not the sides that we wanted you to read. So they handed me some new audition scenes, and they sent me outside. There's like a couple other kids auditioning for Eli. And I read it for, maybe 5-10 minutes, go back in, I'm decently nervous. So I'm like, you know what? I got this. I can memorize decently fast. Go in, do the audition, felt like I did really good. And that's one of the only times I've walked out of an audition room thinking like, damn, I genuinely think I booked that. I think I did pretty good in that.
Wow.
And then I got a call 3 hours later that I booked the role. And I think this was on a Thursday. And that Monday I filmed. So it was like a very, very fast turnaround.
Yeah. And you had to grow that mohawk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily my hair was like decently long. Like my mohawk in season 1 has like a tiny little spine in the middle of it that is a little extension. Like the black tips that you see is like a black spine that goes in the middle, but all the rest of my hair that's all my real hair.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Were you familiar with the original trilogy of films and karate and kung fu films in general?
I'd say like karate films in general, not so much. Like I'd seen, some of the Rush Hours and what is that one? Like Shanghai, which one with Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan?
Yeah, that's right.
Shanghai Noon. Is that what
Noon.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'd seen like those. And then I had also seen the Karate Kid movies. My dad was a big fan. He grew up, he was born in 1970s. He was like 14 when the, Karate Kid movies came out. So he was like, the prime age for that. So when I was 13, my dad was like, before you become a man, here's a list of movies you have to watch. And the Karate Kid movies were a part of that. And my brother watched them with us. And we actually started taking karate right after we watched those movies because we started wrestling and fighting so much. My mom was like, I can't handle this. Like, they need to have like a set hour where they're like getting all this energy out. But you know what? I didn't really remember a lot of it for the show. Like, I think I remembered like High Block, and like that was one of the only things. So we definitely had to train a lot to get me to where I could be like fight ready on the show. Yeah, I was definitely new of the movies and very much loved them.
Well, good for your dad. Your dad's probably pretty excited you're in this.
Oh my God, yeah. I remember I was kind of bummed because I didn't know I had to have a mohawk when I first auditioned for the role. I found it out once I booked it, and I was really bummed because I was like, "What? I love my hair. Like, I don't want to cut my hair. Like, I grew this myself. Like, this is my pride and joy." And my dad, he works in the medical field, and he's like, "Dude, I would love to have a mohawk at my job, but I physically cannot. They won't let me. Please, you have to do this." And I was like, "You're right. Like, what other job would I ever have that I could like get to have a mohawk?" So he definitely put it in like a good perspective for me, you know.
That's great. You know, if you talk to any actor, they'll almost always say playing a villain is much more fun than the hero. But redemption is a very powerful force, and your character's 180 has been one of the most rewarding, I think, for fans who grew to dislike Hawk and really love Eli. How has the change been for you, Mohawk to no Mohawk?
I definitely agree with playing the villain is so much more fun than the hero. Just like being bad is just fun, you know what I mean? I will say this, when the writers first told me like, hey, you're going to break Dimitri's arm and then you're going to, you know, put Brooks in a coma and, you know, beat him into a pulp on the mat. And then you're going to flip sides. I was like, what? Like, I don't know if I buy this. Like, he's already so deep in the hole. Like, how could he get out? Just like mentally, like, how would they accept him on the other side, you know? So I like pushed back a little bit. And also because, you know, I like playing the villain. But thank God, you know, they took to what I said to heart. And they definitely wrote like some problems for me, you know, coming back into Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do. But thank God they didn't listen to me fully, because, you know, that redemption arc and that turn is like the number one thing people come up to me and are like, I love when that happened. Like, I just stood up and was cheering, you know? And watching it now, like, it 100% works. But yeah, I was definitely nervous to like see if people bought it or not. And when season 3 was airing, like, it was in the process of coming out, and like in between season 2 and season 3, when I would get recognized on the street and people come up to me, they'd be like, wow, I hate you. You're the worst. You are the worst. Like, you are a dick. I really hate you. And I was like, yeah, I know my character can be pretty evil, but it's been fun they give me an arc almost every season. So I'm super grateful for it. And, you know, even in season 4, I got to have, you know, a great arc, and it's been fun. You know, I've gotten to explore a lot of different aspects of this character. And, you know, as an actor, you know, coming off of Disney, you know, where sometimes your characters might not get like a very specific arc. It's been just a total blast. You know, I couldn't ask for more. I get to do comedy, get to do drama, get to do action. Like, it's a dream role, you know?
And you get to work with this amazing cast. I mean, especially the young cast. I just absolutely love the camaraderie. Seems so natural. You almost get the sense that you're friends in real life. I mean, do you spend time offset together?
Oh yeah, we spend a ton of time offset together. Whenever we're filming, Sholo and I are actually roommates with Josa, who plays Kyler. The three of us are roommates. Gianni DiCenzo, who plays Dimitri, is over all the time. But yeah, all of us are really, really tight. We all train together. We usually all eat dinner together. Peyton will join us for dinner all the time. We'll work out with Tanner. It's a total blast. Like, all of us really are a super tight knit group. I mean, me and Sholo even have a podcast together, Lone Lobos. You should check it out. It's very fun. We talk about Cobra Kai and just like, it was going to be called Shooting the Shit, and that was a very apropos name, but we weren't allowed to call it Shooting the Shit because, you know, curse words. So it's called Lone Lobos now.
What's it like working with Ralph and William and Martin? And apart from karate, have they imparted any wisdom that has helped you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd say the first 3 seasons, I didn't get to film with Ralph at all. It wasn't until the 4th season that I really got to get to know him. And one of my only interactions with him before that was they made a Cobra Kai DVD for seasons 1 and 2. And there's like a behind the scenes extras. And I got asked this question of, what's it like to work with Ralph Macchio? And I was just kind of joking around. I was like, oh, he's the best guy ever. He's such a sweetheart. For my 16th birthday, he actually gave me his Miyagi-Do truck, which is, just so nice of him. Like, what a great guy. Like, he did not do that. Like, I was totally just trying to get him to give me the truck. And he saw that and thought it was funny. So he was like, oh, you're a jokester, huh? So when we started filming together in season 4, he just loved messing with me and joking around with me. And he's a great guy. Billy and Marty are sick. Like, I got to film with them. I think some of the most fun I've had acting was, some of my one-on-one scenes with Marty. He's just like, when he settles down into character, into Kreese, like he just really is Kreese, And then one thing I really learned from Billy, I mean, aside from him actually giving us like martial arts advice, because he's a legit like martial arts practitioner, he's like, his acting style is like very much like movement driven, like everything has to do with movement. And, I think a lot of people will do scenes and they'll mess up or whatever, and they'll just like take it just right from where they are and like, just blurt out whatever lines they have. But, Billy has a very big emphasis on like, no, like it needs to move with this. And I don't know, just like, it was interesting to see, like, I've never seen someone have movement play so much into like how they are as a character and just like body language and body posture. Like he really embodies Johnny when he does that. So that was
That's
actually
like
cool.
the Miyagi-Do of acting.
No, yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see that like play out in real time. Like I've heard about that before, but he like really like does that.
I've seen some posts on social of you demonstrating some karate moves. And on the show, there's some serious action sequences, from the high school brawl to the battle at the LaRusso's house. I'm assuming the answer is yes, but do you enjoy the physical part of the role? And have you ever gotten hurt on the set?
I love the physical part of the role. I mean, I came from, I loved my time on Disney, but there was definitely so many like tiny little stunts that they wouldn't let me do because they couldn't afford, me getting hurt at all. So getting to do like absolutely nothing on a show, to getting to do absolutely everything I could do was awesome. Like we train as much as we can so that we can do as much as we can on camera, because it looks so much better when, let's say I have to take a fall. My character has to take a fall. If the stunt double does it, he has to be hiding his face the whole time, and he has to contort a certain way so that his face is hidden. But if I do it, you get to see me falling the whole time, taking hits and stuff. So I think it looks so much better. So as an actor, like I want to be able to do as much as I can. And I have gotten hurt on set, but it was never doing stunts. It was always like when Sholo and I were messing around. Like we play a lot of like 2 for flinching, if you like make someone flinch, pretending to punch them. And I would make him flinch all the time, because he's a little skitty. And usually I wouldn't. And so one day we're just like walking through, it was actually in season 2, one of our very first scenes when we're walking into the Cobra Kai dojo, and I make Chris and Mitch flinch, and we like walk past them. Sholo, right when we were walking into that doorway, he spun around like this, boom, and threw a back fist as fast as he could, because I was behind him and he thought it was going to, go in front of my face and I was going to flinch. But he didn't know how close I was behind him, and he spun around, just bang, just clocked me right in the face. And my nose instantly started bleeding, and he was like, "Brother, I'm sorry." I was like freaking out. He thought I was going to punch him back. But I walked out and I covered for him. I was like, "Oh man, it's so dry out here. My nose started bleeding. Oh no," because no one saw it, But that's probably one of the only times I've ever been hurt. Other than, I've punched Tanner a couple times, but those were his fault. He was supposed to block those.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got to lend your voice to characters as well in Paranorman, Rise of the Guardians, The Legend of Korra, and the video game version of Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
What do you like most and least about voiceovers?
I love the medium of animation a lot. I think that's something that really like drives me to, want to pursue voiceovers, because I watch a lot of anime. I love animated stuff. Gosh, one of my favorite things. I think I can play characters that I probably like wouldn't normally be able to play in a live action, like I can go play a 12-year-old in something, like I just did a scripted podcast called Black Box where I played a 12-year-old kid, and that's not something I would be able to do in live action. I'm trying to think of any, I'm trying to think of any, I guess that's true. Technology could age me down, but I'm trying to think of any cons, but I don't know. I really like
long hours.
Not even, like, usually we can bang stuff out pretty quick and it's very collaborative. Like a lot of the things I've worked on, I'll read the script and, in the moment, if I want to improv or like add some ad libs or change something, like usually they're very, very open to that. And, you can show up wearing a hoodie. You don't really have to dress up for anything. There's no hair and makeup. They always have great food. I don't know. VO's kind of the shit, not gonna lie. I kind of love doing voiceover.
We had talked about this a little bit before we started, but I see that you are on the comic convention circuit now. Do you have a favorite fan experience?
Oh, a favorite fan experience. Actually, just recently, a fan gave me this bracelet that I really like. She made me a bracelet. Cool. Yeah, she was nice. It was this. She was like 8 years old, little girl. I was like, oh, thank you. And I actually ended up really liking it, so I've still worn it. She gave it to me in Calgary.
Did she recognize you from Cobra Kai, or did she recognize you from your work on Disney and Nickelodeon?
I think it was Kirby Buckets, actually. I think it was a Disney XD show that I was on that she actually recognized me from. She was a little bit younger. I don't know if her parents had quite let her into the realms of Cobra Kai. I can't quite remember. Maybe she hadn't.
Yeah. Goals, aspirations. Where is Jacob 5 years from now?
Oh, wow. 5 years from now. I would love to be directing. I'd love to be directing something maybe I've written. I'd love to make something with Sholo or my friend Cooper. I have a bunch of friends who are in the USC film program that I hang out with a lot. And we always try to write stuff. So I think that'd be really fun to collab with some of my friends and, get behind the camera a little bit. I don't know. Just keep acting, keep doing voiceover. I don't know.
Speaking of collaborations, what musicians inspire you and where would you like to go with your music? Most importantly, will there be a Sex Panther album?
Oh, shit. I hope there's a Sex Panther album. That would be awesome. Who inspires me the most? I think one of my all-time favorite bands is Pearl Jam. I love Eddie Vedder. I think he's one of like just my favorite writers ever, or songwriters ever. I really like Catfish and the Bottlemen. They're kind of like a new indie alt band. I guess I wouldn't call them indie, actually. They're kind of just like alternative. They're really cool. I really like the Rolling Stones. I love Led Zeppelin. I grew up on my mom and dad's music, so kind of just like older classic rock stuff. Love the Who, love the Kinks.
Did your dad do the same thing with music that he did with movies and said, you have to listen to these albums to become a man?
You know what's funny? It wasn't even an option. That's just like, it's just all there was, like we didn't listen to anything else, like, and I mean, I will say though, it's given me a lot of great rock and roll memories. And I feel like I have a pretty good taste in music, but I have absolutely no knowledge of my current generation's music. Like if you could play me like the list of like the top 100 songs, I would maybe know half of them. I really, I am quite out of the loop when it comes to the new stuff. So I feel like I'm
classically trained.
Yeah. I feel like I'm like an old man where I'm like, who is this? What is that? Doja Frat? I don't understand, so.
That's right.
Yeah.
On a serious note, what can you tell us about Smile Train and your involvement with the charity?
Oh, yeah. Smile Train is awesome. I actually just went down to Mexico and got to visit one of their clinics that they have that they're helping operate down there. And got to hang out with all the kids that were there. And they actually had a karate school within Smile Train that they do to sort of like help build confidence and like sort of have like an after school activity. But Smile Train is an organization. They help empower local hospitals to do cleft lip and cleft palate surgeries all across the world. And, there's a lot of charities and corporations that will help out with cleft palate surgeries and cleft lip surgeries like throughout the world, because it's crazy like how many kids are born with cleft every minute or even just every day. But what they really focus on is they try to educate doctors and like put people in place in the communities that are there to stay and help build like relations with the hospitals so that they can have like a continual comprehensive care. Like they help with their meal plans afterwards. They help with speech therapy. They help with like just mental awareness over have like being cleft affected. And, they came to my agency during the pandemic. We're like, hey, like we would love to partner with Jacob, due to his, character and, him being cleft affected on the show. And, they were kind of like the number one people that are spearheading this movement. And I was like, heck yeah, like this is awesome. They've been just so great. And I've had a blast, getting to just work with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So
they're doing really awesome stuff. Like they're super, super cool.
How can our listeners support them?
Yeah, I mean, you can just go on smiletrain.com. Monetary donations help so much. And honestly, just like spreading the word, like I think a big thing about being cleft affected is like there is a huge stigma about it. In reality, it affects so many people worldwide. I think that's a huge portion about it. Like before I hopped on to be, I think I'm a celebrity youth ambassador is my title. But before I hopped on as an ambassador, I was like, hey, like, could I get a sort of rundown on, so I'm more knowledgeable about being cleft affected and, cause I didn't want to like hop on to Zooms or whatever and be talking about it and not have any clue, what I'm talking about. But they have, like facts and like things you can read and videos you can watch that really lay out and you can like get educated on like how it feels to be cleft affected and get to speak with people who are cleft affected. And I think that's something that's really powerful.
That's fantastic. Cobra Kai season 5, shifting gears, is coming up. Is there
September
anything?
9th.
Yeah. Is there anything you can tease us about the season and what's in store for Eli without spoilers, without Netflix snipers taking you out?
I take my shirt off this season.
There you go.
I can say that. I can say I get in a fight. I get in at least one fight. I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's anything I can spoil too much. I can say the kids are so aggressive this season. Like there's a lot of anger from like a couple kids very specifically that everyone's like, whoa, okay. Like we're all right. We got to like contain this. There's some unlikely duos, I would say. There's some unlikely partnerships, I will say.
That's good.
I got to film scenes with people that I'd never really filmed with before. So that was very fun.
Jacob, it's been so much fun. Thank you for joining us.
Dude,
we'll all be watching on September 9th. The season 5 of Cobra Kai releases on Netflix. Best of luck with the series and everything you do.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Good talking to you.
If you haven't seen Cobra Kai on Netflix, you truly are missing out on all the fun. It's one of the best series around as an update to all those classic Karate Kid films. Check out the films and then segue into the series. Jacob is amazing. 1 minute you're hating him, the next you're loving him. Great character development and a great performance. You can also check out Jacob in Marvin on Amazon Prime. Full episodes of Kirby Buckets streaming right now on Disney+. We've waxed on and waxed off and completed our training at Miyagi-Do for the August edition of Everything Zen. A very special thanks to Amber, Noah, Zenescope Publisher, and Dark Princess expert Dave Francini, and our featured guest, Jacob Bertrand. I'm your host, Mark Sells. Thank you for listening. The great Johnny Lawrence once said, Cobra Kai is about strength. If you're not strong on the inside, then you can't be strong on the outside. Watch and rewatch Cobra Kai on Netflix, grab a Coors Banquet, and enjoy your August. We'll see you all again next month, right here on Everything Zen.